G'day, Mel James. Market in a minute. We're talking about off markets in spring 2019. Off markets have a little bit of a bad name at the moment. We've got a magazine out which is advertising a lot of off markets, but more and more we're hearing the word off market from selling agents when really the property is not off market. It's a pre-market, or it's not really for sale, or it's coming up to auction, and they'll just call it an off market because you like reading the words off market. Off markets is when a property is not advertised at all in any way, shape or form. You don't see it on realestate.com, you don't see it on Domain. Why do people off market? Let's not worry about why. Let's just understand that there's a lot of properties that are sold off market. In fact, about half the transactions we're involved in are off market, either acting for the buyers or acting for the sellers. Here's a couple of just really recent examples. This property is in Armidale, bought this through Jellis Craig. This property's in Surrey Hills, also bought this through Jellis Craig. This property is in Mentone, we bought this through Buxton's. This property is in South Yarra, we bought this through Artiega. This property is in Brighton, we bought this through Nick Johnson. And this property is in Malvern East, and we bought this through Marshall White. There's just a couple of recent off markets on the buy side. There's been a number of off markets that we've been on the sell side. They're real. So what are the keys when we're looking at off markets? Basically time. Let's talk a little bit about time and off markets. First of all, you waste a lot of time if you don't know what you're doing when you're involved in buying or selling an off market. And we'll come back to selling in a little while. Let's just talk about buying. You'll waste a lot of time when you think you're on a property, you think you're interested in a property that you think's for sale, but it's not actually for sale. And we'll talk about how you recognise in a sec whether a property's for sale or not. But you can waste a lot of time to the point of frustration, to the point of missing out on other properties you could have bought because you're focused on a property you didn't. The other thing is that with off markets, you do need to understand that some of these properties can take a long time to negotiate. I mean that from two reasons. One is you need to be able to maintain your level of cool, but also just not give up. If you keep going and going and going for a reasonable period of time, sometimes you can buy them. And I'm talking 6 months, 9 months. Anyway, how do we know if a property is actually for sale off market? We call it the ducks. The ducks have got to line up, and there's 4 clear ducks. The agent needs to have an authority. There needs to be an asking price. You need to have clear access to the property basically whenever you want it, and there needs to be contracts. And if there's not contracts now, they need to be able to come in really quickly. If you can't get those 4 things and you're trying to buy a property, it's not for sale. It's BS. It's not for sale. Top secret. That's the other thing we always hear about. Shh, let's not say anything. It's an off market. Sometimes that's good. That can be good in that, other people haven't heard about it and there's not other people pushing the price up for you. But it can also be bad, because if the agent's got a price in it that's a lot higher than what it should be, then it's very hard for you to vindicate, to understand that is this price acceptable or not, because you don't see what other buyers think about that property. So top secrets, good and bad. And it's the same when you're selling as well. Let's talk about selling, because that's a fair bit of the buying. Just rub this off. So if we're selling, what are we looking for when we're selling? Let's say we're selling an off market. Are we looking for one agent? Okay, with one agent, what are the issues with one agent, especially if you're selling a property through one agent off market? Well, the main issue as I see it is that you've only got one opinion. So is that the right value or not? I do think you need to go through a process to understand multiple opinions, because, look, I do this all the time, but I don't believe every single time I can get values right. I think it's good to have multiple opinions. The other thing is buyers. Yeah? What happens after their database is exhausted? Have you thought about that? In other words, they bought 3 or 4 buyers through in the first week or 2 weeks, but then no more. So no more for the next couple of months. And if they don't have a good flow of buyers, the big issue is then all you hear about from this person is it's price. You've got to get your price down. I'm not sure that's correct. Okay, so what's the answer? Is the answer to have a whole lot of agents out there selling your property? I think there's a number of people out there that think this is the answer. Can I tell you that nothing is further from the truth? What you're going to have here, in creating what you think you're creating competition, you're creating confusion. All these different agents are probably talking to the same numbers of buyers, and they're telling them completely different things because they've got to compete against each other to get your business. Otherwise, they don't earn a living. So I don't think having a whole lot of agents is a good idea on the view that, well, I'll get a whole lot of buyers through. I don't agree with that. What I think you actually need in the end is somewhere in the middle. You need more than one buyer, more than one agent acting for you. You don't need all the agents. You need a few select agents, and a few select agents that sell your type of property now and in the past. In the past, they can give you an idea about value, but now, so they can be bringing buyers off those properties that are not buying that property into your property. You need a steady flow. You need a number of selling agents acting for you. And if I can give ourselves a bit of a plug, you need somebody managing those agents so as the same consistent message is going out to the buyers. Whether you're buying or selling off market, it can really work for you. I'm Mel James.